Hi, I'm John Niehaus, Director of Program Development for the National Association of Flight Instructors. Today, I'd like to have a quick conversation with a friend of mine, Charath Ranganathan, about his idea for a new NAFI special interest group. It's going to be a tech special interest group focusing on using technology in the airplane with students and using that to increase value in your flight training. Now, Charath, this comes from an idea that you had a few months ago, and you even used it to create a workshop in the NAFI Professional Development Center at AirVenture. Tell me a little bit more about it.
Sure. Thanks, John. And yeah, a real pleasure to talk to you guys. So, ever since I started flying, and given my background in the tech industry, I've always been a big proponent of the use of tech in flight instruction. And like I mentioned, when I first started flying, I went out and got a dual GPS, and I I got an iPad and was using the EFB from AOPA back in the day.
Mhm.
And obviously, tech has changed a lot just in the last, say, 5 years. With the Stratus and the Sentry becoming more popular, with iPads becoming more powerful, and with ForeFlight pretty much taking over the world, especially in the GA world. And honestly, I mean, my company does some work with the U.S. military, and even in the Air Force, they all use ForeFlight. I was surprised by that. And so the idea that I had is we've got all these tools, we've got GoPros and a fairly young user base that wants to constantly talk about themselves and post about their experiences in public. What if we could marry all of these together to not only give people access to these tools or talk about what tools exist, but really incorporate them as part of flight instruction so that we can enhance the safety of flight instruction, teach students a little more about what they can or should be doing, help instructors get some value for themselves out of it, right? Because
Mhm.
if you're able to encourage students to stay back longer, or you give them more value add, it is monetizable one way or the other. And so that's the other sort of motivation here. And I think the final motivation is trying to figure out a way by which we can get the general aviation community as a whole to accept and incorporate the appropriate use of tools. And I emphasize the word appropriate here, the appropriate use of technology in both flight instruction and in flying.
Yeah, and this is something I'm really excited about because one of the things I think a lot of people have heard me say for all of the NAFI programs is that we try to provide the infrastructure to get ideas flowing. And then members like
Right.
you come to us and say, hey, I've got this different spin on something. And that's exactly what we're going to do here, right? We're going to
Yep.
take the traditional SIG format. Everybody's going to join should they want to, and communicate different ideas and different thoughts and how they do it, but at the same
Correct.
time, adding a different layer to it that is, how do we change the environment for the better for
Yeah.
everybody, provide a
Exactly.
framework for people to operate within. So I think this is really exciting.
Yeah. And that's what I want. And I'm a big believer in, even in the software industry, in what I call agile software development, where things sort of evolve as we go along. There's no point in me saying, hey, this is exactly what we're going to come up with by the end of this, because there is really no end to it. And so, what I'm looking for is a group of like-minded instructors, people with more experience than me, honestly, that we can all put our heads together and then let this organism evolve as it goes along.
Mm-hmm.
Today I have a base charter that we'll post on the forums.
Yep.
But as we or on the SIG page, as you said, but as we go along, let's let that charter evolve. There's no end to this thing.
Fantastic. And Charath, when are we going to have the first meeting, do you think?
Probably mid-January. I've got some travel, like I said, coming up towards the end of the year. But once I'm back, probably mid-January, and meeting about every quarter at least. We'll figure out a way to actually communicate asynchronously as well between meetings.
There you have it. Look for more information on the NAFI Special Interest Groups page. You should also see some things coming up in eMentor and possible emails. But we're really excited about it. I hope you guys are too. And we'll see the first meeting in January.